just trying to figure out why you all in the camera and I just got like the corner.
You don't have a corner. You got the other camera actually.
Nah, you got like 75%.
Well, I would prefer you be in the camera, but I don't want to be in the camera.
Well,
Really?
I mean, if you was to turn this a little bit this way, yep, see that right there? That's about fair right there. That's about 50-50.
You would be concerned about that, whereas I am like, I don't really want to be in the camera anyway. So there you go.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen.
You gonna share or no?
Oh yeah, I guess I need to do that, don't I? Don't I?
He just never. I don't know what's going on with this. Oh, I hope I didn't lose my whole thing. Matter of fact, let me save this link so I don't lose it. How about that? All right, you ready?
I'm sharing.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Sharing is caring, baby. Already.
You done sharing?
Almost.
I had to do a test at first because I don't know. Sometimes the thing works, sometimes it don't. And my phone is dying. So, hey, who is that? Hey, how are you?
Hello.
All right.
It's America's number 4 couple.
I don't know if we're in 4th place yet. Still,
Well,
I need to go check.
Let's
see.
Down.
I don't know. I gotta see.
I don't know who nominated us for this. I appreciate it, but I don't know why you did that. Because we just us. If you want to say that we're the America's top couple and want to put us in magazines, I'll take it. Just make sure I have a haircut if we win.
Whatever. Let me look. Let me see what place we in.
All right, let's get going, baby.
Okay, we can start now. I don't know. Some Robert thing came up. Okay. Anyway, what are we starting with? Top of the hour.
Africa.
No, I don't know if we want to start with that.
Okay, well then start with Diddy.
Okay, we start with Diddy. All right. Miss you too. Miss y'all too. We've been it's been a couple of weeks, I think, right?
Yeah.
We were doing something.
Getting ready to go.
Getting ready.
It was a lot.
Yeah,
a lot more
vaccinations and stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot more going into this than I expected anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, so we start with Diddy. Okay, first off with Diddy, partial verdict. What did you want to say about that?
I don't know. You the lawyer. You the attorney.
I mean,
you had to explain it to me.
Partial verdict.
He going to jail.
I figure they probably
he gonna get about 15 years.
Found him guilty on some of those some of the charges, the 4 charges. And the reason why I say that is because with the RICO charge, if you look at the RICO charge, some of the predicate charges or crimes that they have to believe that he engaged in was the sex trafficking. And I just really believe that if they're going to acquit him of the sex trafficking, I mean, I guess they could say some of the other crimes amount to RICO, but I just don't feel like that's where they're going. I feel like they're saying he's guilty of the sex trafficking, which is a crime that's included within the RICO charge, right? And because he's guilty of that, I think they're debating about the RICO. So
he at least gonna be gone for about 10 to 15 years.
I'm not saying I know for sure. That's my hypothesis. I think that I think it's probably one of the sex trafficking charges was with regards to what's her name, Cassie, and the other one was with regard to Jane Doe. I really think it's one of the sex trafficking charges and one of the prostitution ones that they found
that man law thing,
or maybe 3 of them. I don't think the Jane Doe. I don't think they found him guilty of that one. I think he's going to be acquitted of that, but I don't know. That's just my theory on all of that. All right. So then the next thing is Africa, and I don't know. What do you want to say about that? That was a whole experience. I don't even know where to begin. I do. I'm gonna start with the process of going, right? Because I
Oh my
think
god.
that
Oh my god.
it is very
Daunting.
it is daunting process, but it's also you don't know what to expect. So it kind of keeps you on edge a little bit, not knowing what you're going into because you hear like when you go to the when we went to go to vaccinations, we had to consult with someone from I don't know who it was, some passport place or whatever. And they scare you so badly about, oh, don't drink the water, don't do this, don't go this place, don't go that place. This is what you could be exposed to. I mean, she told us not to brush our teeth with the water, to have a bottle of water sit next to the sink so that we're not brushing our teeth. It was just a lot. So like when you think about all that, and then there's this whole, oh, you could go over there and get traveler's diarrhea. You could go over there and get this or that, and we need to vaccinate you against these things, and don't walk up to any stray dogs because they don't vaccinate against rabies over there. And it's a lot, so it could be like it was really, it can put you a personal edge because again, you don't know what you're going over to, and every time your stomach, we'll go into that in detail more lately, but every time your stomach even hurts a little bit, it makes you think like, oh my God, I hope I didn't get some type of bacteria. I mean, they were talking about only eat food that's well cooked, don't eat salad, don't eat fruit, don't eat blah, blah, blah. And so it just leaves you on edge a little bit. I mean, every time you get a little pain in your stomach or something, it could be indigestion, but you thinking like, did I swallow some type of bacteria or something going on?
Yeah, I'm not as bad as her. It got to me when when they said we were out and about, and then we got a message in our group, and they were like, "Hey, is anybody else water turning brown?"
Well,
now I started thinking about
first though.
Oh yeah, pre yeah.
When you get ready over there.
Yeah,
it kind of puts you on edge, so you don't know
it does
because you just like I don't know. So we ended up getting all these vaccinations because you just didn't know like what was going on. And then so we get over there, and we went to Joburg and Cape Town,
Johannesburg.
and when we got there, it was an experience because. We were staying in a hotel, we find out, okay, well, the hotel has, running clean water. So you don't have to really worry about that. I was still a little iffy about what to eat, even at the hotel, because like what this lady said, don't eat salad. So I don't know if I should eat salad or I should just stay with the stuff that's cooked. So I just tried to stay with everything that was cooked because you just don't know. I didn't eat tomatoes. I'm like, if tomatoes are on recall over here, surely they may be on recall over there. So I'm not eating tomatoes either. So that was an experience. But
I was eating.
He did. I didn't. I couldn't. And so when we got there, of course, we were in the hotel in Johannesburg. It was I guess it was a decent hotel. But we did get a chance to go over into the Soweto area and see how people were living over there. We gave breakfast to, or provide or serve breakfast to a community that was in a really poverty-stricken district or area, which was eye-opening.
And I'll add this to that. We talked about this. I've talked about it several times, but I'll say it on here as well. It was eye-opening. But the sense of people not having, you would think that their spirits would be dampered more. But I said this in our reflection that we did when we were speaking with the mission group that we were with. The joy that they have is I don't even know what would the word be, unexplainable, right? You would think like if somebody living in under satisfying conditions, you would have a damper spirit. But the kids, the adults, everybody was just joyous. I can't say happy because they were joyous. Something that I wouldn't be proud to say that I live in. When the kids, when the pastor of the church over there was like, "Oh, this is where blah 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 stay at," they were smiling, they were upbeat and everything. I mean, I guess it's an everyday living for them, but where we look at things as poverty stricken, you wouldn't even know that they they knew that they was living in poverty because it's just the everyday life. Uh, in direct contrast over here, the communities don't have that type of joy and excitement about living if you're in a situation like that. So that was very eye opening to me as well. So that's all I gotta say on that.
Yeah, it was. And I think that it made you realize, it made you see things from both kind of perspective. It made you think about how we often see things through an American lens, right? And so it's important, I think, to kind of measure how we're viewing stuff. That's number one. But again, like he said, and I have brought this up to him too. I was talking about the sense of communal and community, and the sense of community that there is within those particular areas where everyone is, it seems like just together. Like
I've done care about
homeless people here in Charlotte and everything else. I didn't see that sense of like community that they have there. So that was kind of that was really different. And then I was telling him how, like, I mean, he mentioned this, like, even with the younger people, like there was this joy and for the most part, they were happy and joking around and playing around with each other. And some of these kids didn't have coats or barely had shoes, and you wouldn't know by the way that they were interacting with each other, how they were talking. And I was telling him how different that is even from like in the United States, when you have kids who come from poor communities going to school and being teased, and to the point of suicide, or being bullied to the point of suicide. And it was just like, I'm guessing they probably have teasing and bullying over there, but I would think that, and that's just me assuming, that when you come back to a community that's so strong that at least you feel like you got somebody to have your back. Right. I mean, as opposed to how it's so individualistic over here in the United States. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like every man is for himself almost over here. Yeah, and then I didn't get that sense. And to give these areas that people operated like that.
And to give an example of that, people had testimonies of, and I've seen it as well, but not everything that they seen. But it was a kid that, children that was eating, and I don't know if they thought that the food was running out or whatever, but one child ate some of whatever it was, and the kid behind them didn't have anything to eat, so they actually ate whatever they ate and just gave the rest to the people behind them. We wouldn't have did that. I've never seen nothing like that. Most people over here would have just ate it all. I got all I can, or hoarded it, and I'm going to eat this now and save the rest for later, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that having that community and actually caring about one another is a big American cultural difference from over there cultural difference, I guess.
Yeah, it just makes you realize there's a lot of work to be done, right? There's
worldwide too, because I don't know if you want to go into that, not, but I got into my emotions because it's Africa and black people, this, that, and the third, whatever you want to say, right? But as we went to Cape Town and she and I started talking, I started realizing, while that is a bad situation, we have situations over here just as bad. So it's I haven't seen too many churches here that actually hand out, and I'm not saying that there's not any, but that hand out things to the community on a consistent basis and things like that. When you have churches that literally are in the middle of the community that's constantly doing and doing and doing and doing. And I would say one could argue, if they're good enough, if there's around them, that the poverty over there is maybe a little bit better than the poverty over here, just because of the togetherness, like we spoke of.
I just think earlier. That is different, and I think it's important to understand that there's a difference in it, right? There's a difference in how it's impacting both communities, or there's a difference in how it's impacting communities, and that it's important to understand those differences and to be mindful of those differences, and to be aware of the lens and perspective in which we're seeing each of these communities that are poverty stricken. So I feel like there's a lot of work to be done. in communities overseas. There's a lot of work to be done right here in the United States. And, it's just like everyone, whatever your gift is, whatever your calling is, it takes everyone working as a unit, as a cohort to kind of try to combat as much of it as we possibly can. But it definitely, it made me say like, okay, I've been, even when I look at homelessness in the United States or poverty in the United States, I look at that differently now than I did before. And then, of course, seeing the poverty, firsthand over in South Africa made me look at that differently too. There was what was it? The aspect of how, how much colonialism and the impact that other groups of people have had on that country, how that impact is continually negatively impacting the communities over in South Africa. So that was a big thing too, right? So you have all these other groups of people, whether it's, the Asians, the people from China, Asians, and of course, the Europeans that are still coming over, and even what they said, like people from the India. And different places like that are coming over and buying up the land, and then they're buying the land, they're mining it, and you don't really see where any of that money is going back into the community, right?
To country or any infrastructures, none
community.
Of that.
So they're buying all this land, they're mining, gold and diamonds or whatever else they're mining. They're setting up their own malls, they're setting up their own, areas, and it's so very segregated. Actually, when I was speaking to someone today, they were saying like when they went over there, they realized how there's not even interracial relationships like that over here. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, there isn't. Like they're so segregated to the point where it's like, like they're living in different places. Again, like I said, why would you have to have a whole big mall that's strictly for Asian people? Is beyond me, right? It's not like a little market. It's an actual whole big mall. You got one whole side of a area that's all Asian, and buildings where just only Asians live in, and you got areas where only white folks live in, and areas where only these, and it's so segregated, and it's sad to see people come into a country, take what they can from that country, and don't pour back into the country, or treat the people that were the original inhabitants of that country like dirt, or like they don't matter. And so they're like, what they talk about, the different groups, racial groups. You have the white people, the colors, and the blacks. And so the colors would be the black, what we would call black people, but the black people who are of lighter skin, or who have maybe some type of European ancestry, and then the blacks are just the darker skinned black people. So they have them all divided like that, which was again direct consequence of apartheid. And they're all divided, and it's a lot going on. The government is still in front.
Yeah, I was going to say that, Matt. You talking about the government needs to kick them out. The government, what I found out, the government is part of the problem. For instance,
supposedly that's what we're hearing. Allegedly, the government is taking money and hoard money that they even receive from the United States and using it for their own personal use.
But to the point of our church, I guess what I found out about that, bought a certain piece of land that I guess Mr. Trump then, I don't know, it's being legislated on, so we couldn't get that.
It's in the courts, so yeah, litigated.
Yeah, litigated. I'm sorry, that's what I meant, litigated on. So the piece of land that the church bought couldn't get that, so we had to get another piece of land, which is fine. Church still got built, but it's just if what we're hearing is correct, then that government over there is really part of the problem as well. 50% unemployment rate, which is crazy from a country that's supposed to be full of all of this gold and minerals and everything. How in the heck It's a 50% unemployment rate. That's just baffling to me.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a lot. I mean, and then you have people who have mixed feelings on, people that we over here consider to be, leaders. So like even with regards to Nelson Mandela, there's mixed feelings on him because some people are saying, okay, well, Nelson Mandela, once he got, celebrity status, he kind of just, forgot about the other people and that sort of thing. And so it's just a lot. And there's a lot of people, I think, who were in the trenches and who did a lot that don't get recognized and haven't been recognized, who are still out there trying to fight for what's right and have not got the appropriate support nor recognition for the work that they put in. So it is definitely a lot. I will say that when I was over there, we didn't get a chance to experience some of the stuff that the other group did because I did end up with stomach problems, but it wasn't because of the food. It was because of my own
health concerns.
No, it was my own stomach conditions that I already have that were aggravated because of the plane ride. So the plane ride was quite lengthy, and I have stomach conditions that require certain medications, and I was trying to avoid having to take those medications and being on that plane that long, and it kind of just threw everything off. So I was sick for about 3 days with stomach problems that got to the point where it was so bad that I was like, I'm gonna have to come home because I'm in pain. I can't get the pain resolved. So we missed some of the other stuff where they went to like Tabletop Mountains.
Although we had a beautiful
but
view,
we did get a chance to see it because our hotel room was right across from it, so we were able to really kind of take pictures and see it from afar. And then there was I think one of the where we served breakfast. I think that we missed. Yeah, we missed the serving breakfast. We served lunch, but we missed serving breakfast. But we did get a chance to serve the rest of the time food meals to the community. So the other thing I want to mention, I didn't like the food, y'all. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think the food was good at all.
I don't know. You know how they say the people of the other skin tone don't season their food. Well, I think I don't know where that came from because there wasn't nothing over there seasoned. I told my wife, I said ketchup and hot sauce. That's all that matters. That you ain't got to worry about. That's enough seasoning for me. So their food wasn't. Yeah, we had some people with us saying that the food was great, and
I don't know if anybody said that. I had people tell me that before I went. No, that they liked the food. I didn't hear anybody say why they were there.
The dude did.
Oh, I didn't hear anybody say that.
He kept telling, "Oh, wait till you eat this. This is great. This is da 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 da." I don't know. Like his taste buds must be different than.
No, the food was horrible. I didn't like it personally. I just didn't. I wasn't like I wasn't trying stuff. So it was like the cooked stuff I was trying. So I did stay away from the stuff that they said was like don't eat blah blah. But I tried liver. I tried the beef liver, the chicken liver, the chicken curry. It was something. The mince meat that was good. The mince was good. But I just didn't. It was just my taste buds may just be so Americanized. That's why. But
she said her stomach is colonized.
It was other people though that I spoke to that was just like that I worked with before. They were just like, yeah, the food was awful. So they didn't like the food either. So it wasn't just me. And they went to Ghana and they were like, yeah, the food, I couldn't eat anything over there. It was one restaurant that we finally found that I went to 3 days in a row and I ate the same three things. The same thing those 3 days because that's the only food I could trust. And it was the only thing, I mean, not trust as far as taste. And it was the only thing that tasted good to me. So like, that's what we ate. That's what I continue to eat. But other than that, I had to eat my little keto snacks and stuff that I bought with me. I would eat my keto chips and my keto snacks. But to be fair, the food on the airplane was horrible trash. Too. Okay, so Delta, I don't know what Delta was doing. Their food was trash. Okay.
To be on a plane for 16 hours and your food tastes like a kindergartner just learned how to cook is horrible. Like it got to the point on the way, especially on the way back. They like, hey, what's something? No, they was looking at us like we was crazy. Every time they said, "No, we good. I'm going right back to
sleep." I didn't eat anything. So, it was on the plane. It was horrible. The food was horrible.
But yep. So that's what we've been up to the last week and a half.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else worthy. Now, I will tell you something that made me a little, that kind of make that, I don't know if I want to say it made me sad, but I was a little disappointed. But then I was like, well, I'm helping people. So like they have these things called markets, right? So there's markets and you can buy like different type of African culture stuff, right? But then when you go to the market, you find out that basically what's going on is that you don't have anyone that's really making this stuff. So like if you're going to the markets expecting that, oh, I'm gonna get this hand carving statue that somebody actually, that the guy is selling actually carved, that's not what you're gonna get. You're gonna get stuff that resemble Africa, but it's gonna be stuff that you could have went online and bought, or that's gonna be sold in the store. These people at the market went and I guess purchased them in bulk, and now they're reselling them. Is what it is. Or like the pictures, the paintings, you know, that people say, oh, well, I got this painting from Africa. Well, a lot of times it's the same painting. You'll find the same painting at like 10 different vendor booths because they've all taken the same painting and kind of like just printed it off.
And all of them live.
And they all printed them on all like these canvas that make you think like, oh, somebody actually painted it, but no, they didn't paint it. Because the one guy told us he painted some pictures. And we were like, oh, okay, so we bought them. And then we went somewhere else and was like, those are the same pictures that was at this place. So that was kind of a little disappointing because it's like you think that you're going over there and I'm getting authentic. I guess it just wasn't as authentic as I thought it would be. So there's a few people that said, well, I made these necklaces, but I don't even think they made those for real because I kept seeing the same necklace at different places. So what I got out of it though is that I just went ahead and bought stuff anyway because this was what people were doing for a living. So I was like, okay, let me just buy the stuff. And we did have to negotiate, you know, but then sometimes I negotiated so far down that I felt bad because then they looked kind of sad that I negotiated so far down. So
well, I'll tell you this. We took $1,500 over there, right? And it was hard for us to spend all of it.
No, we took 24,000 rand, which was way too much money to take over there.
Well, it was $1,500 American money.
Right, but it was
$24,000 of their money.
24,000 rand, and it was way too much.
And it was
it was ridiculously too much because and I'm gonna tell you how too much it was because we ended up just kind of just at the last minute just trying, because if we tried to convert it and exchange it back to American dollar, we would lose money because the rate keeps changing and everything. And so we end up just kind of just trying to spend as much as we could in the last minute and just buying stuff. But I think it was Wednesday, we went over to Cape Town and we were at the hotel. And I had left the rand upstairs, and I was trying to get a coffee or something. I was trying to get something for that.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, just go. Go. We got an exchange center over there. Just go take some money over there." And he was like, "How long are you gonna be here?" And I said, "Well, we're not leaving till Sunday, Sunday afternoon." And he was like, "Oh," he said, "all you need is $100 US. Go convert $100 US, and that's gonna last you, y'all until Sunday." And so that kind of lets you know, and that's what us eating out every day, right? Eating all our meals out every day. And so for him to say, "Oh, just take $100 and that's going to last you from Wednesday through Sunday," with you going to the market and eating out and buying stuff, that lets you know that you can really, it just goes a long way. I mean, we had meals. I thought people were exaggerating when they were telling me what they got for meals, but we had meals where it was him and I, and we're ordering like lamb chops or something, but we're ordering that. We're ordering drinks, non-alcoholic drinks, of course, but we're ordering non-alcoholic drinks. We're ordering appetizer. We ordered dessert, I think. And our most expensive meal was like
$60.
If you
for both of us,
it would have been like $70 in US dollars. But that was for both of us together. And that was including the meal, the drinks, the appetizer, the dessert. And I just don't know where, I mean, it came over and said like something like 1,000 rand. So you think like what?
Well, for our whole.
But then when you calculate it, it's like, oh, it's only $70.
And then we had our family there as well, right? So it was, what was it, 10 of us?
So be 10 of us could eat
and then it come up to like 35. One of them was like 6,000 rand. It was like, whoa, boy. So your mind thinks of dollars because we're not from over there, but
when you convert, it's like, oh, well, this was only like $100
like
for 10 people.
Okay. Get out of here. But as far as buying the land, when she was asleep, when she was sick, right? I was just looking up stuff. Man, I found and we have a pretty big house. I found a house double our size, and it had like 7 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 2 big car garage, a big old swimming pool, a whole lot of land for 4 million. What was it? 4,680,000 rand. I said, wow, I wonder how much that is. I converted it. It was $230,000 or $223,000. I said, good googly goo, what? So yeah, your money will go a lot further over there. Me doing my own individual little quick research, 26,000 rand is the yearly average salary over there, which is a little bit over $3,500 in U.S. money a month over there, which is crazy. So I don't know.
And I don't know. I hear like there's a lot of people that say they want to move over there. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think I can
stay. Want to move over to South Africa. No, I haven't been. I want to explore other parts of Africa too. So I know Nigeria and Ghana. A lot of people really say that they would like to move to. I think those maybe the feel of those areas are a little different than South Africa because of the apartheid and stuff. But with that high unemployment rate and stuff, there's no way I'm going to go over here thinking I'm about to get a job or be treated. Because I saw I did see the interaction sometime between like people from other countries or races, how they interacted with the black people because of the black people over in South Africa, and they were like, some of them were pretty rude and mean acting. Speaking to like the people that worked at the hotel, like they were trash, So yeah, I wouldn't want to move over here, not to that particular area. So like I said, maybe the other areas.
I don't know if they would treat American black people like that though.
No, but I'm talking about the looks that I got when I got on that elevator with, and I don't even think they were from South Africa. I don't know where they're from, but they looked at me like, So that's not an area I would want to necessarily live in, to be honest. It's just too much going on. I just wouldn't. It may feel different if I go to somewhere like Nigeria or something.
No, because you said that they actually call you the N-word straight out your face.
That's what somebody told me. I don't know, but I couldn't deal with that. That would maybe I just couldn't.
I had to smack him with this and leave some of that N-word on him. Now you want to.
Yeah, I just couldn't be. No. I couldn't. So yeah, I wouldn't want to move over there. I'm not gonna lie and tell you I would, because I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. All right. So what's the topic? The next topic is we were talking about Mankeeping. I saw an article, and I meant to share it on Facebook, but when I looked just now, I realized that about a week or so ago, I shared the wrong article because this online, I don't know what you want to call it, magazine or news source, sometimes they'll have multiple articles intertwined together. And so I thought I was sharing, but I didn't share the wrong one. The one I shared was about cheating, which was not what I meant to share, but that was an interesting one too. It's about why women cheat. And I guess we're saying that they found out through studies that women cheat. When women decide they cheat, they actually cheat with a man that they...
Replacement.
Yeah, but it's they actually looking at genes and stuff too, like whether or not the man would produce good genes in children or something. I don't know. I didn't read that whole article. I need to go read it again. But that's what that one was about.
That's a different study. I never heard that.
Yeah, it was like they're basically when a woman gets fed up in a relationship and she decides that she's going to cheat, she's actually cheating with. Okay, sometimes they say men are just cheat with anybody. The woman, I guess what they're trying to say, will actually cheat with a partner that they feel is going to have a good gene pool.
Oh, I don't know
for
about
them.
I never heard about the gene pool. I've always heard about, when you guys get fed up, y'all cheat with basically uh, uh, y'all do better than the guy that you're with, whereas we always cheat with anybody. So like if you dating a guy that's I don't know, some type of lawyer, you may leave him because he ain't doing right, whatever, and go to a scientist or astronaut or whatever better than that profession. So you always look. I guess that has something to do with maybe not necessarily the genes, but still the genes, because it's just somebody that's more where you think that you
should be at.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, we can talk about that next week because I don't know. But the one that I meant to share was talking about the man keeping as the reason why women are quiet quitting relationships. So before we've talked about the walkaway wife syndrome and how women will leave a relationship emotionally before they do physically. Well, this study was conducted and it was saying that at unprecedented levels, women are actually quiet quitting relationships because of man keeping. And so I thought it was interesting. I'm like, what are they talking about when they're talking about man keeping? And they said that it was what they're considering to be man keeping is unmanageable emotional labor. So they're saying that women feel that they are in these relationships with men and that the emotional labor within the relationship is so great that they are leaving, quiet quitting these relationships. So they said, the quote, emotional dependence has been piling on excessive pressure on women, which they theorize as a concept they call man keeping. Man keeping refers to the efforts women make to compensate for men's thinner social networks, which can strain their time and well-being. And then it says, specifically, man keeping is defined as the labor that women take on to shore up losses in men's social networks and reduce the burden of men's isolation on families, the heterosexual bond, and on men. And they claim the rise of this phenomenon as another layer to add to the heap of gender inequality women face inside their homes and in their romantic relationships. If women spend several hours every week assisting the men in their lives with their emotional and social well-being. Now, I thought that was interesting.
So when it comes to studies like that, I think they all are important, but it's when you say why women are leaving relationships, right? Then it's studies that shows why men are leaving relationships too. Now I haven't looked up any. Of course, you've done your research, or whatever. But I think that all comes back to everything that everybody says about communication. So, what my point behind all of that is this. So those things are the reason that women are leaving. I wonder how many of those people that they studied actually communicated that with the man that this is what's going on, and if that's how they're feeling.
I don't know. It doesn't talk about that, but I do think that it ties into some of the other studies where have shown where women have indeed communicated things to men, and men just like, okay, whatever. She's just temporarily unhappy. Remember we talked about that before, or and I think the reason why the focus is on women because I think this is kind of a newer trend, right? Where they're looking and they're saying, okay, now you got this whole subset of women who are actually like, either we're leaving relationships or no, we better off without being in a relationship. That they're not so reliant upon romantic relationships as they were before. And I think that's why it's being so heavily studied now, because it's like, okay, this is different than what's before, because you have all the generations before this new generation where there was some type of reliance or dependence, and it was actually taught and it was socializing to women that no, you're supposed to be in this romantic relationship. You're supposed to have some type of dependence on men. And I know we went through this whole phenomenon where it's talking about, independent woman and stuff, but I think this is even going a lot further than that, where some women are actually opting out of just relationship because they're like, no, I don't even want to deal with that. It has nothing to do with me necessarily wanting to be independent, more so than it's like, yeah, that's too much, and I don't want to deal with that. And so the fact that these women are filing for divorce at rates that have never been seen before, and are leaving these relationships in numbers on a scale that's never been seen before, I think that's something. And then on top of that, you have the studies that are saying, and now men are the ones now complaining, saying they can't find women to be in a relationship with. They want relationships, they can't find it. So it's kind of been, everything's been kind of turned topsy-turvy. And
I definitely understand what you're saying. Because when you think about, me anyway, I think about my grandmother and then older people, even older than us, and women did endure a lot when, as far as cheating and verbal abuse and physical abuse and everything else, and still stayed, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing now that they're doing the studies on the women that's moving away, like you said, and getting out of those situations and not tolerating it anymore. But I don't know. Well, maybe so. I have to actually think about that before. I don't want to say nothing that's.
And it's interesting because the paper broke down the theory into 3 components. It said there's emotional support, so women are providing this emotional support. They're building the social networks, and they're teaching social skills. So women are providing increased emotional support to men who don't have it elsewhere. And this is a form of labor and a burden on their time that is not equally reciprocated. And I think that's important because it said the toxic combination is so bad, it's reportedly putting women off from relationship and causing them to quit where they mentally check out but remain physically around. And it's funny because I think the key point is the reciprocation. Because I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. So I think we go back to the same root problem that has been there almost the whole time. And this concept of reciprocal, if I'm putting in this work, is it being reciprocated? Because at the end of the day, how many people really complain about what they're putting in if it's being reciprocated?
Yeah, that's true.
And so we go back to this it's back to the same old basic concept that has been there the whole time about reciprocation.
Yeah. So, and then to cure that, and I can say that I have been, and I am guilty of this as well, due to my own lack of, to an extent. But it's realizing that, number one, and that's the important of what I used to pick at. I don't want to say pick at, but laugh at when you say date nights. Matter of fact, I made a post in a group that I was in. Dude said he loved his wife. He don't understand what's going on. He's been loving his wife the same all this time. And I simply said, well, that's the problem. You've been loving her the same. Love's supposed to grow, mm-hmm. right? And I got so many responses with that comment. And I'm putting myself in this category too. Also, I made a comment that said, now that I'm even saying it again, I may have to start trying to implement this myself. But you chase that woman like you did before you got to know her, because that's when most of that time stuff is being reciprocated, mm-hmm. because you're trying to get that woman, mm-hmm. right? And so now you're going to put in that effort, but that's when the imposter syndrome come in and all of that as well. So you have to figure out a way how to get around and not let that be imposter syndrome. But if that's the person you're really going after, then you go after that person your whole life. Mm-hmm. When you get them, when you marry them, when you right? And it's funny because I that's the only how you can fix that, because you have to constantly stay chasing the person that you have like they're new. Because I love saying, I always said this, in my worst days, that, let me see, how can I put it politically correct? Wow, I've been with you for 5 years. to the dude next door, you're new, right? So while I'm content, stagnant, or whatever, you're new to him. Just like if I go to the woman on this side next door, she's new to me. So I would put a different effort in probably with her because it's new, right? And that effort that I put in there and that effort that he gives you, you're looking for that effort from me that I'm giving her, but he's putting it in with you. You get what I'm saying? So it's the new thing. And I think that's the only way you get around that, because everybody goes, again, it's imposter syndrome, but everybody always goes 110 for somebody that they meet. But somewhere down the line, you get comfortable and stop.
Yeah, but why would that lead to you not reciprocating though what the person is putting into you? So I think what happens though is that men have, in my opinion, is somewhat more of an inherent self-centeredness than women, and it may be because women are known to be nurturers. Like if you're a nurturer, I mean, you can't be a self-centered as a person who's not raised to be a nurturer. I mean, that's just.
So then the other part of that, but for a man to become less of self and more of somebody, of his woman. I've said that all the time. You have to become, number one, you have to love yourself. Number two, you have to understand your emotions and how to become emotional, because that's where y'all nurturing comes from, the emotional side of y'all, caring and loving and things like that. But because even when we cheat, that's not being in tune with our emotions, because the emotional side of us, of love and truthfully loving our partner, wouldn't allow us to do that. So to get your emotions intact, it helps. I would think it helps get rid of that selfishness, and then you become more of.
I think you could. It's still in what they're talking about as far as emotional burden. It makes it seem like almost like this, and we talked about this before, about this expectation of women to I don't know how to explain other than carry the emotional burden, the emotional load of the entire relationship. So when a man is in crisis, she's stepping in emotionally to try to fix that. If something else is happening in the man's life, she's stepping in emotionally trying to fix that. The interesting thing is like they're feeling like they have to even teach the guy social skills. Like what is going on that these women, and that's a good point, Shannon, that you bring up about a lot of parenting versus partnering in today's marriages and relationships. What is it about today's relationships? And maybe this was going on before and it just wasn't as blatant, but what is about that women are in the role of almost parenting their partner? Because that's what it essentially, to me, from reading this article and from what you said, that's essentially what it seemed like it is. Like women, they have to teach the man, okay, this is what appropriate, this is what's not appropriate. They're having to, again, everything as far as if the man can't emotionally provide for the children, the woman has to provide emotionally for the entire family. If the man is having a crisis, she's emotionally the one picking it up. That's so I think it's almost like
that's a coming from South Africa, obviously, what I'm getting ready to say, that's an American cultural thing. Let me say it that way. Mm-hmm. Because even if you go to and I'm gonna put me in this category too, but you go to what Nelly said about Ashanti the other day. Oh, when kid can't come to me till it can, till it can walk, talk, tell me this, that, and the third. I don't know where that comes from, because from what I just seen in Africa, like I think that I don't think that they think that over there, mm-hmm. right? But I don't know where that comes from as far as over here and American men over here. What I will say is, because you do a lot of that with me, I'm just gonna be honest. But I say it comes from your background and how you was raised, so to speak, because you look at, I don't know, I can't even think of nobody actually. If you look at how men was raised, certain men was raised, a lot of men was raised, that's where that comes from, because we don't know how to, or wasn't shown or taught how to. So I'm literally sitting here trying to think of one person that I know that's like that.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't learned how to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was, oh dang, I thought I was on the bottom floor. So I think that's something that, one, we have to be taught, and two, if you haven't been taught before you get into a serious relationship or a marriage, that's where that burden comes from. Now, at that point, it's up to us to hear, listen, and try to change it and break it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of times that we don't, because of we're so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So we stay like that and think everything is just going to work itself out, and or this is how it's supposed to be, and then it leads to the walkaway wife and all of the stuff you're talking about. Because at that point, once it's being told and communicated to us, we choose not to listen and hear because it's been like this so long.
Mm-hmm.
So it is up to us to break it,
mm-hmm.
if not taught, or when it is taught, to implement it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I think it imposes. I can see where it would be a burden, because if you're relying, if anyone, male or female, is relying on another person to carry all of their emotional burden, that's is almost an expectation, that's burdensome to anyone. I mean, it just is. So like, if you're relying on someone, for example, we always say you can't rely on somebody else to make you happy, but you have people that actually do that, right? In relationships, they rely on them to pump them up all the time and be blah. So then when does that person ever get their chance to say, okay, I'm not in such a good mood, I need some time, or I need someone to motivate me, I need someone. If one person is the one always doing the motivating, if one person is one always trying to speak positively, if one person always trying to do this and always do that, then when do their cup ever get refilled? Well, I mean, it doesn't, because they're the ones constantly pouring into, and they're not receiving anything. Well, then
I do throw some of that on a woman as well, though, because if you don't know, though, maybe not. If you've experienced that once, then it's certain things that you should look for in your partner when you're dating. Because I have been the one, and you've told me about this plenty of times, of having a negative attitude towards things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know this now, mm-hmm. right? God forbid I die and you have to move on and this, that, and the third, and you start dating somebody else. So if you know this now and you go talk to somebody that speak negative all the time or whatever it is, and you been through it with me, and read these studies or whatever, and you allow, because they do everything else right, mm-hmm. and you allow yourself to fall for them or date them or marry them, mm-hmm. then at what point does that fall on you? Because you know better, because you've been through it one time.
No, I agree with you that.
So now it's, do women actually thoroughly understand what's going on as well?
I think so, because actually it's funny that you mentioned that, because it said that the study found that a staggering 23% of women are now less likely to want to date than men after finding they've invested too much emotional labor in the prior relationships. So, and that's a pretty high number. So now they're saying, look, I'm not dating.
So then I wonder, with that study, out of that 23%, when they say dating, do they just not try to date anymore? Or do they just take less? Like when they see that sign,
probably less likely. It says less likely to date. Period. So they're just like, yeah, no, I'm done with all that, and I don't want to do that.
To my point, it was one woman I told you about her before you, of course, that I was trying to date. And we started talking. We probably had been talking about 2 days. I was sitting over our house, and she's like, "Oh, so what you like to do for fun?" And this, that, and the third. And I started telling her to play basketball, fish, hang out, da 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 da. And I said, and play my game. Now she ain't make no response to anything else but said play my game. And I told you like she was like, I don't see why no grown man should be da 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 da. Well, whatever her experience or however she felt about that, she knew that wasn't gonna work for her. And I knew it wasn't gonna work for me neither. But so that's what I'm saying. Like I can see that 23% doing that. Like that's why I said will they try and just like soon as
I think they just cut. I just they done. And
I don't know how
see more and more women that are like that. But to your point, like how he mentioned, like Jermaine used to be very negative about things. When I say negative, it's just like always everything was the bad. And I think I told you more than once. Like, look, I can't do that. Like, you can't just be just super negative. Like everything is negative, and that's just something that is not conducive. It's just
to me, it wasn't being negative. I always thought that you expect the worst, and anything better happens. It's a positive. So I mean, I understand how that's a negative thought now, but at that particular time, I didn't really think that was negative. But yeah, it's and it's draining thinking like that too.
It is. It definitely is. So I thought that was interesting how with the whole man keeping thing, and I'm like, wow. And it comes from, like you said, Jermaine. A lot of it comes from how men are being raised, and I don't know if the lack of parenting when it comes to male children have gotten worse than it was before, because it's already bad, right? Because
I think it comes from a broken household.
But I mean, why would it continually get worse though? I mean, you've been having the broken house.
So let's if all of these studies are correct and more women are filing for divorces, this is just me thinking logically, and correct me if I'm wrong. And more women are filing for divorces, this, that, and the third, right? So what ends up happening is, obviously, the man is not doing or fulfilling the woman in whatever way she needs. So she's tired of it and she's fed up. And he's not learning from listening to his woman or whatever. So then you split, right? If you got a son and your son goes and hangs out with the male, with the father, what is that father teaching him? He's teaching him things that he didn't even fully learn and grasp in his marriage to the child's mother or relationship with the child's mother. So therefore, the cycle starts getting ready to become repetitive because the father doesn't know any better or hasn't learned how to teach his son any different. So he's going to teach him the same bad habits that cost him his marriage, basically. And when I say bad habits or the not listening skills, the not being emotional skills, that's what he pours into his son, and he thinks that that's right. So then the son has that, and then go on and so on and on and on. Well, yeah. It's only when you have two couples that like I seen something earlier today, when that woman said you get on the other side, once you get through all the rough part and get on the other side, that's when the love really, really becomes great, whatever, right? But it's only couples that stay through it and work through it without the infidelity and all of that, get through the rough parts, because they're both willing to listen and change and compromise or whatever it is to make it work, right? So then your beliefs, as you told me.
I don't know though. Well, because I mean, it's been a continuing thing.
But look how high the divorce rates are.
But what I'm saying it's gotten worse. So I think like it depends. It depends on, I don't know. It would be interesting to see what the study show. I mean, where's that coming from?
Because look at how high the divorce rates are.
No, what I'm saying is you can still have two people together and a woman just endured that for the whole relationship. Yeah, or you still have men that, don't want the kids to cry and stuff like that, and they're still married. So I'm saying like something has had to happen to make this worse than what it has been, or is it not necessarily worse, but the fact that women are just saying like, yeah, I'm not taking it anymore, bringing more light to it. That's what I'm saying. Like, have men actually, as far as socialization aspect of it and the not being socialized the same as women, have that changed? Or is it more so the fact that women are just saying, putting their foot down and saying, we're not dealing with it anymore. So now it's being more exposed than it was.
It's definitely being more exposed.
If the exposure might be greater than what it was in the past, because I don't know if there's been that much change. I don't see where a lot of parents have changed, even with the women who are raising their sons have changed and said, okay, no, I need to start raising them differently because we've been outputting men that are not, contributing healthy to a relationship. So let's change this, or that's what I'm.
But that also comes with that strong foundation at home, because again, once society get a hold of your kid, then it becomes the foundation that's instilled that keeps them understanding how to be better men and spouse and a spouse for their wife.
Yeah, I don't know. I have 6 male children, and it'd be interesting how many other women do this. But 6 male bio kids that I've raised, and I've said one of the things I've constantly said to them is like, I refuse to allow y'all to be a burden to whoever your partner is, and that's just something that I keep trying to let them know and trying to teach them differently and trying to make them so that they're not so and have all these gender roles and typing like kind of ingrained in them. So I try to teach them. I've tried to raise them differently so that they're not like that, so they can be a partner as opposed to someone having to parent them. And I just wonder how many other people are actually intentionally doing that with specifically their male children.
Yeah, and Matt, that's a good point. About how many men get cheated on by women, used and abused. But I think a lot of times when we throw that out there, and I hate sounding like this because I would pick at me if I was another me. When we throw that out there, it's like, yeah, women do cheat on men and using abusers and this, that, and the third, but historically, we've done that from the beginning. So it's like it goes back sort of, in my opinion, to like what you said, when women are getting tired of certain things. So when they started, I don't want to say when they started, but when Steve Harvey or whoever said start thinking like a man or whatever that was, that brought all of that to the forefront, because women were saying, oh, but men can do it and we can do it too, and this, that, and the third. But historically, women didn't have different families across town right next door and this, that, and the third. We started all of that. That's sort of like when white people say, well, I ain't have nothing to do with that. Talking about slavery. Well, historically, all of that came from men. So while I agree with what you're saying, you can't create the problem and then not be sensitive to the results of it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So again, yes, I'm not disagreeing with you. I always say women cheat better than men. 190% they do.
I would agree with you.
Because I told her this a while ago. A man go get a side chick, he loses his dang on mind. He forget about his woman at home. He stopped doing the things he was doing, all because he got this woman over here and he trying to satisfy something that's supposed to be just, I see you when I see you. Now that becomes his girlfriend, right? A woman can have a whole side dude and go about her daily business, take care of the kids, cook, clean, and don't miss a beat. And you'll never know nothing, right? So while I agree with you, we as men, the men race started that historically. So I don't, I don't give them a pass. I don't say nobody's supposed to cheat, but we started it.
Yeah. Anyway,
but now, if I would have heard the younger version of me say something like that, I'm like, boy, you stupid as I don't know what. But that's how I honestly feel now.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Everyone if it's interesting to you, I implore you to all look at it yourself, and we can have further discussion on it. But it's just, I'll share the article on my page, but it was just interesting to me. Like, okay, we keep talking about these women quitting these relationships. And so, there's a big shift. There's a trend going on. How long is this going to last? What is this going to mean for the future as far as, you already had the women saying like, okay, well, there's other ways to have kids. I don't have to be with a man to have a kid now. I can do things on my own. So how is that even going to play even more so now into things? It's just, to me, it's going to be it's a very interesting trend to see happen. And it'd be interesting to see where it goes with regards to that.
Yeah, I think I don't agree with that. Women might be saying there's other ways to have kids. You can go get, you still having a kid with a man. Yeah, I don't care what you do.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, no,
I'm saying
that
they can. I'm saying women now don't have to have a man. They don't have to be in a relationship with a man to have a kid. Whereas before, people say they think that's why Ashanti ended up getting back with Nelly because she wanted to have a kid or something anyway. But nowadays women don't have to do that.
No, you don't. But then you're doing the same thing as having a deadbeat you type of situation. You bringing a kid into a fatherless home.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the same situation.
That's definitely the same thing. It ain't a father there.
I don't. But I think it'd be different for kids to know, like, oh well, you don't have a father because I chose to have artificial insemination as opposed to, oh, your dad is just some dude had sex with me and then left me.
I wonder what the studies are. How many kids try to find them sperm donors that you went and did that? Like, that's something that I would never agree with, because every kid, some kind of way, whether you have sex with the dude and he end up not being nothing, or you get sperm donor, every kid gonna want to know who their father is or whatever it is. So I haven't done no research, and no, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, but I think that's just as damning as a child or father leaving the dang on home, because you still ain't got a father one way or another.
Well, yeah, but it depends on what you're talking about, though, as a consequence of not having a father, because some people are probably better off with their father not being in the picture.
Well, that's true too.
There's some kids who are better off with their mom not being in the picture. So I don't know. I'm not gonna say that just that is a different story. But I mean, that it's not like I'm saying I agree with it, but I'm just saying I don't see where it's like, oh, that would be considered the same as, I guess, what else would happen. But anyway.
Well, Matt, hold on. I want to respond to that last one, Matt. You say women tell because they caught feelings. Man get caught up. No, the reason the man get caught up again, because he got to be doing it. So you can't. See, the whole thing with this caught up thing and getting caught, right? If you don't supposed to be doing something in the beginning and you get caught, you shouldn't even be mad. Whether she caught feelings, you caught feelings, or whatever. If you in a monogamous relationship or marriage or whatever, and you get caught, it's sort of like how they say, chalk it up to the game. You shouldn't be doing it. If I go out here and rob a bank and I get caught for robbing the bank, I can't get mad because the police say, oh, you going to jail now. I knew what I was doing when I went and did it. So it's consequences to your actions. So the consequence may be that the woman you're dealing with caught feelings, or she told because she caught feelings, whatever it is, you shouldn't have been doing it. So I at that point, luckily.
I don't know if that's the only why men get caught though. Let's be real. Men get caught not just because
they change their patterns. Number one,
they get caught because they start doing stupid stuff for the woman. Okay, so they just start doing stupid stuff, like spending more time than what they should.
I said that.
Matter of fact, women, they don't really have to worry about women catching feelings if they weren't doing the things to
make her catch feelings, make her feel special.
So like,
and I'm definitely guilty.
Why they get caught.
I'm definitely guilty of that.
They do dumb things like, hey, let me buy her the same diamond bracelet I bought for my wife and keep the receipt on me. Stupid stuff like that. Like, a woman would never do that.
Exactly. Or let me tell you what I did. My previous marriage, I had my quote unquote side chick. I went to pay my ticket. We got a ticket together, which I ain't pay her ticket on purpose, but we got a ticket together, and I paid my ticket. And the thing said that it was an error, so I went back in there and paid another ticket. I mean, went back in there to pay the ticket again, and ended up paying my ticket and my side chick's ticket. But I thought I was just paying my ticket, and the difference is it was one number apart. So if the number was 1, 2, 3, 4, my ticket was 1, 2, 3, 4. Hers was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, and I ended up accidentally hitting that other button. Right, so they sent the receipt to my house for the one I paid for mine and the one that I paid for hers. Now, oh well, that's an honest mistake. Well, if I wouldn't have been messing with her, it wouldn't have been a problem. Only even if the tickets were still one off, if I wouldn't have been messing with her and I would have got a ticket that's one off, it wouldn't have been a problem because hey, I don't know who that is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It only becomes a problem because it's like you too close to getting caught. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's a discussion for a whole nother day. You might have to get into stuff like that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway,
anyway, interesting story, interesting time in Africa. If you ever get the chance to go, it's definitely somewhere you should go. I do want to visit other parts. So hopefully we can get to. We were so close to Madagascar. That's where my grandmother mother is from. But we didn't get there. So hopefully soon we can go back.
Matt, we're going to get into that though. We might have to do that. If not next week, I'm going to write that down.
Hopefully we can go back and visit that, other parts of Africa.
We'll get into it. It's definitely my fault. But like I said, if I wouldn't have been doing nothing in the beginning, it wouldn't have been nothing to be my fault. But we're going to get into that. I'm going to make sure I write that one down. If we don't do it next week, we're going to probably do it the week after.
Right. But anyway.
Hey, we've been voted for, I don't know who nominated us for the best couple. So I guess vote for us, please.
I've shared on my page
a
few times.
Vote plenty of times.
So,
matter of fact, if we win and you can prove that you voted?
I don't know. Probably not.
Probably not. We'll send them.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that because you can't prove who voted. So anyway, just vote for us if you want to. I would do good with $20,000 though. Hey, I'm definitely going to try to set up a foundation for some things. I've determined that there's some specific individuals that I wouldn't mind sponsoring for some specific things who are in need, and so I would like to do that. So that's what I would do.
Hey, that would be great. We can help roll in that.
But I would do it regardless. I'm just telling people names. I would just do it regardless of what I had the 20,000, but the 20,000 would be helpful. So I like to move in silence. Apparently, he doesn't. So
what do you mean? They don't know who I'm talking about. He ain't like he our friend. Oh, we just met him.
All right. Anyway, have a good evening. I got to get up early.
Yep, me too.
We're back to work.
I'm going fishing.
I don't feel like I've really even got a lot of rest, but yeah, that's what.
That's
another thing. Fly first class if you're gonna be doing 16
hours. Because that main cabin that ain't what it is. But that ain't what I was gonna say. Right now, this is why we tired too, because right now it's 2:30 in Africa in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. They're like 6 hours ahead, right? And body got to get back accustomed to over here now. It took me a couple days, so I tried to get up early this morning to get back on the U.S. schedule. But yeah, it's kind of different.
It is very different. So
6 hours is a big time. That's worse than going to Vegas, man. Like Vegas is 3 hours and take you a minute to get adjusted to that. But 6 hours, like you trying to call the kids and it's it's 3 o'clock. And, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it is.
But
I will tell you another good thing is I've got these vaccinations, so I'm about to travel as much as I can before vaccinations expire. So I'm like, well, I got these rabies vaccinations going on and typhoid and everything else. I'm gonna go travel some places. So anyway, have a good evening. We will see you all next week. And like Jermaine said, don't forget to vote. Thank you, and thank you for praying for us for
absolutely,
mercy. 100%. It was definitely needed, especially with all the stuff that's going on with the unrest and stuff. So thank you all for traveling, and we're grateful to get safely there and come safely back. Have a great evening. Bye.
Peace.
Be blessed.